Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and today on the HermitCraft server, a new dawn is near. That's right, Good Times with Scar has hereby prepared an entire shopping district just for us. But before we can build, we need to not only choose a spot to place our shop, determine a general architectural style and all that, but we also need to deal with the, let's just say the mob-related issues. As we look around here, this is not what you might consider the best lit area. Now, if we use the mini HUD overlay, we'll see that this is not lighting safe. Okay, we can put a little bit of, you know, what would you call this? Maybe glow lichen might be the term for it. Every so often, because even though there's these street lights here, there's a lot of this that is just not going to deter mobs from spawning. Ooh, there's one now. We could greet him with a friendly hello. And then get behind him. Boom, sniped. Oh no, I'm not wearing my armor. I took off my armor to do that thing earlier. Okay, let's turn off that overlay because it's ugly and that's a spider. That's half of it. That's some of the armor. Okay, things we did not think through. For 900, Alex. I'm sorry, there is no 900 clue. Fleeing for 400? This liquid contains iron in hemoglobin. What is plasma? Correct. Okay. Well, we just managed to not die and halfway improvised a Jeopardy clue. That probably wasn't a great one. Sorry, Jeopardy fans. But core concept, there's a bunch of that sort of thing over there. So what I'm imagining we're going to do is we're going to roll in and we're going to start placing some glow lichen as kind of little road stripes. Maybe not stripes, I don't know, dashes. Just something to kind of give everything a little bit less of that kind of offensive mentality. Now, one thing about the shopping district is currently there's no bed in the shopping district. I could put this bed down right here, but now I'm in Cubs Bridge. That's not a long-term solution, right? So what I'm thinking is that maybe my arrow shop will also provide some sort of bed-driven experience. We can give the arrows away for free, but maybe we charge hermits to use the bed, because even if I light up some of the shopping district, there's going to be enough mobs in there. This is going to be an ongoing problem. We're going to have a lot of this. So let's go ahead and see if we can figure out what we want to do with the lichen first. I spent a few minutes tossing together a few prototypes of different ways that we could light the shopping district at night. This one is dashed lines. We've got another one back here that is more scatter shot. Ooh, look at that. That shot's just all scattered. And then I got another one out this way where I put the lichen along the sidewalks. Scar actually got back to me and said thanks, but I'm actually planning to put frog lights under all the sidewalks. So that should fix all those problems. So I am just going to rip this out and get to building my project. He said that also G Street is where we build shops that are just pop-ups or facades only. So I believe, if I'm looking at what he sent me correctly, G Street is this area. So we would basically build straight into the cliff here, whatever we are thinking, or popping up. So let's clean up before we pop up. Time skip. The skeletons are falling in the spawner here. We're gathering all sorts of armor and their gear. I can turn their bows into dispensers, but as I cut through their defensors and gather what experience I may, there's just too many arrows left over for each skeleton I slay. And to that end, I think we are ready to set up our shop. And because these arrows, they just do not stop. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-consecutive and yet somehow labeled arrow shulkers here that we can begin to just move everything into in preparation for deploying them in our arrow shop soon to be constructed on G Street. Now, I really think that the G Street concept is great. Scar really was ahead of himself on this one. We don't need a formal back to the build, and so what I'm thinking is I'm going to build it into the wall of the cliff in such a way that it looks like an inventory slot holding a flint. We're going to call the place the Flint Nap, and I wanted to have like a freestanding obsidian obelisk thing that would look like flint, but I realized without the grid of gray behind it to look like an inventory square, the flint just doesn't read right. So let me show y'all the redstone that I've been working on for this, because just having a boring gray background, that's not the way we want to go. Beneath our beautiful prop department lies our new redstone installment. It's the Redstone Lab. We have a sculk sensor underneath that wool that would theoretically detect any sounds, and then the grid of gray dispensers would be able to fire beautiful, beautiful free sample arrows at anybody who came past. We are using a trick I saw in Etho's latest single-player world video. Let me go ahead and enable this AND gate here, where if you have observers pointed at these scaffolds, every time that a new block gets placed underneath the scaffold, all of the observers update. So we have right here some experimental fish that we can use. And right now I'm triggering it by walking around. If I just boop, boop, boop. If I'm not moving, it won't go off. Or if I'm very sneaky about it. But anyway, we can put our experimental fish back up there and hopefully grab our redstone and go pick out a plot. So look out below, because I'm apparently dropping diorite down a hole. Time skip! Wow, look at that. We are getting the scaffolds, the observers, and the rough outline of the flint in. Some dispensers too. Well, wowie woo. Let's take a closer look. I am here at the base of our build, and I'm really pleased with the 16 by 16 inset inside an 18 by 18 frame. I've started loading up plenty of arrows into these dispensers here, and I feel like we are on the right track. Now, I'm realizing I'm going to have to run back and grab some materials to make additional dispensers and observers, but we're in good shape on the whole. I also forgot the pistons. I want to do a test fire so badly of this system now that I've partially loaded it up with arrows, but yeah, we're not quite there. So let's get back to it. Time skip! I have installed all 16 sticky pistons here. As you can see, they have not yet been deployed. Once they kiss the amethyst, they will be wedded. You know, I'm not technically licensed to marry 16 pistons to 16 amethyst blocks simultaneously, but licensure is kind of fast and loose this season on HermitCraft. So we're going to go ahead and disable that. And when we come up here, we can see all the way back there a sculk sensor that'll push a block of amethyst into an observer and then trigger all of this mayhem. Will it trigger the mayhem? Yeah, that's looking pretty good to me. I think it's never going to stop because the sculk sensor is detecting the arrows hitting the ground sound. So we might need to do some gentle revisions here. Okay, how many arrows did that dispense in that amount of time? I love the lamppost. Well, we're definitely getting rid of some free arrows. Yeah. That was what, 6.25 stacks in very, very little time. Yeah, I'm gonna refine this a little bit and come back to it. But I do at least have the bed working, and a little sign here that says, "Welcome to the Flint Nap. Arrows are free. Help yourself. Sleeping costs 1 diamond. Please pay in barrel." So I've already slept here once. I'm keeping track of how often I use this. Every time I sleep here, I actually put in another diamond. So let's go ahead and sleep only at night or during thunderstorms. Time skip. I have returned to my redstone testing lab to set up a calibrated sculk sensor here. As you can see, one of the things you need for a calibrated sculk sensor is a comparator with a lectern. Now, you can just put any 15-page book in here, but what I did was I actually took the time to write down, courtesy of the Minecraft wiki, what the actual different triggering mechanisms are, and I gave them catchy little titles from novels to help me remember them. That one's not a novel. Also, there's someone at the door. So now that we've got this book all set up, to make it useful for the whole rest of the season, we're going to need to take it and clone it and move this whole setup over to the shopping district. Time skip! There are a lot of great benches here in the shopping district, so I'm going to use this one to admire the art on my new arrow shop. That's right, the Flint Nap is ready for its grand opening. There is just one more thing to do. We have our redstone down here. Right now, it is set to step. I think we're going to switch this over to unequip, because people shouldn't be unequipping too often. Then, we're going to enable that using our AND gate here. I've put special blocks underneath the redstone, so hopefully nobody will accidentally dig upward if they're doing an adjacent shop that has an underground element. We can just close that here. And here we go. Let's throw that helmet on the ground. Well, that worked. I feel like the middle didn't fire. Let's go check on the arrows in the middle here. That still has 64. Why did the middle not fire? Huh. Try that again. Maybe there's something wrong with those observers. Huh. Let's go ahead and put some of these arrows back for right now, and I'm going to investigate that, see if I can figure out what's glitching. In theory, the observers all the way up through here should be roughly equivalent to each other. I don't even have a ladder to get up there easily. I did not think that this was going to be a problem, and so I am completely unprepared for it. So these observers are facing here just like everything else. Why would that not trigger on some of these observers? After noodling around in the internals of the redstone layer, I still don't have a solution to this problem. We're going to maybe come back to this. I've got an episode planned coming up where I'm going to refine and revise a bunch of redstone around my base. I figure whatever y'all tell me to do in the comments section below about this, I can kind of roll into that episode. So keep an eye out for that coming up. One thing you didn't have to keep an eye out for today was mid-roll ads. That's thanks to Patreon patron Paige Marinchuk. In lieu of those mid-roll ads, here is a haiku of my own devising. Arrows from the sky aren't quite as delightful as those from a wall. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.